Do you think it's a sign of weakness?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're weak.
You're this today?
No, what?
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
You're that. Like, you did. You're that?
Yeah. I've been getting like approached more lately on the streets with people asking me for help with things like directions or.
Oh. I thought it was going to be some self-complimentary. It's like people are like, can I touch you? Can you sign an autograph?
No.
Can you give me a pic?
I don't think I've ever been asked to sign an autograph. Actually, no, that's not true. You and I got asked to sign photos once. Remember a guy emailed us photos? Or not emailed, he mailed us photos of us.
That was during the pandemic, and then, oh yeah, that was,
we never
apologies did. Again to that guy, I forgot.
Here's the thing, we couldn't bring ourselves to do it because it was, it wasn't us. We're not signed photo guys.
No. Especially that one, too.
You'd think you would have a photo in a restaurant in Oakville. But no, you're not.
Restaurant in Oakville?
Yeah, you'd
it's
think
not like Oakville is some podunk town. It's like where all the like big famous rich people go to live.
And I would have thought
I don't live there anymore.
You could, if you would have done better.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, if you would have done a little better.
Yeah, okay.
You could have been at least in what your courses, like diner.
It's not even like my high school. It's like James Hinchcliffe went to my high school. Jamie Campbell went to my high school.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's true. Yeah, you're nothing. Yeah. All right, everybody. Get
You're
ready
this
Get ready
today?
for the show with this big old nothing that I got here today.
You're this today?
Hey, Big Zero. What do you think about the Jays? What do you think about the Jays?
Big Zero? They're a big zero.
Yeah,
I think
know.
they're also.
You would know.
They're the correct team to play in my environment.
Hey, guess what? Today on the show, we've brought in the world's foremost zero to discuss these zero Blue Jays. Oh my God, what a show we have for you today. Okay, hold on. Over to you now. What do you see with this ball club?
You know the Spider-Man meme?
Yeah,
it's like
you and
me and the Toronto Blue Jays.
Wow, yeah, it's true. yeah. If you ever want to see the human embodiment of this year's Blue Jays season, you look at Ben Ennis right in his eyes, and you'll see it. You'll stare right into the Blue Jays' soul.
Yeah.
Okay,
no future. Best years behind me.
Yeah, true.
No reason for optimism.
Yeah. All right, this got too dark. Pivot.
Old.
Yeah.
Very old. Expensive.
Yeah. Oh. Close. So close. I want to talk about the NBA draft a little later today. I just have a couple of quick nuggets on it. What a night for our boy Armin. Lakers fan. Had Connect fall to him. The perfect LeBron guy, a shooter who has high basketball IQ and is old.
It's good.
It was like, wow, what a hit for the Lakers. I'm sure that will get them from being a team that gets swept by Denver every year to a team that beats Denver all of a sudden. That was the missing piece. Was the rookie
leads
from
in
Tennessee.
all 4 of those games. How dare you?
Yeah. Anyway, I want to start with 2 Blue Jays things, but one is just a out of the blue sky thing. So apparently Ross Atkins is speaking today at 3. I had the opposite reaction as you. Now, he speaks fairly frequently. It seems as though the media...
4 days ago is when he last spoke.
Yeah, and he spoke not too long before that. But no, it's true. It's true. In terms of GM speak,
sure, he spoke at the last long weekend we had before this upcoming long weekend, which is when he's going to speak before.
Here's the thing. He had to speak on Elvis Martinez.
Yes.
So he was forced to come down from the ivory tower in which he resides, came down and had a chat with the Blue Jays media. At this point, for me, with Ross Atkins, I just don't care at all. You've already, it's done. Everything that is you is over. I just don't believe that with the Blue Jays anyways. He's got a future with this organization? There's absolutely no way that he's done. His power has to be pretty minimal at this point. And when it comes to the way he speaks to the media, he's always been robotic. This was the thing that we criticized him for when he first came to town, is that he had a real difficult time connecting with the fan base, especially in the wake of Alex Anthopoulos, who was in the stands with the fans, celebrating with them, who was viewed as one of us. That these 2 guys came in, and he especially, Ross Atkins, couldn't string 5 words together that made people go, oh, I get this guy, or I relate to this guy. He was the most unrelatable. He wanted to hang banners for years of control, for God's sake. I just look at this now. I asked Armin to clip audio. He's on top of our audio for the show. When do I ever ask you to clip the Atkins audio? Now, have I ever? Yeah, so I don't know. To me, this is a nothing burger. To you, it seems like it's something.
I didn't say it was something.
Okay, sorry. I misunderstood when you flew by in the.
I just thought it was hilarious that the 2 times that we've heard from him scheduled to hear from him, and again, we did hear from him 4 days ago, and yes, he had to speak because his top prospect got popped for an 80-game suspension. You got to speak on that.
Yeah.
But also, like, during that availability, it wasn't just limited to that.
He didn't do it.
Yeah. Well, he did say, he's like, hey, I believe me, he's a good boy. He's just trying to get pregnant himself. He thought he might have some ovaries. It's like,
he wanted to be junior.
yeah.
That's a deep cut reference.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, during that availability, he didn't just limit it to Elvis Martinez. He did answer some of the questions that will be asked of him today. But I understand it's different. Like, it wasn't a full media contingent. That was in Cleveland, right? And I think rightly, a lot of places, including this very place, I don't even know if we sent somebody on the road. Like Hazel May was in that scrum, and she's on the road, part of the broadcast. But I don't think we had a writer on that trip because it's like, yeah, Blue Jays stink. They're in Cleveland. Big whoop.
Yeah,
it's during the Cup Finals.
Lost again. Done.
Yeah. So it's a little different.
Not good. Lost again. That's it.
Yeah. Like, I had a lot to say about AI earlier on my show. It's like the AI could have done that story pretty easily. I don't think anyone would have.
Did you see Sheryl Crow criticize Drake?
No.
She crushed him.
Why?
She obliterated him.
Over what?
Over the Drake using Tupac.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was awesome. She just was like, it's antithetical to being a human being. And she was very upset about it.
Yeah, art is the area you can't. Like,
and
once you start to encroach on that, that's scary.
Yeah, I know. And it sucks.
You saw the Al Michaels, right? Or
yes,
heard
this is where I'm going with this. I've always looked at the actors, and they went, oh, well, we want the background actors to be AI, and we want to be able to use this, and we maybe want to use AI scripts, and you see some of this AI music that the music industry has been afraid of. And I went, this will never come to sports, and here it is. I would just say that if I was a young broadcaster that had machinations of wanting to host a Olympic, I don't know, show someday, that one was pretty scary. Anyways, back to the Blue Jays. Yeah. I just thought,
you can't just like start that. Let me just have a say on that.
You already had a say. You had 3 hours in the morning.
Scripted stuff I don't mind. Like that actually, the Al Michaels stuff, I actually don't care about that. Because AP story,
you're for taking work away from
but like I'm not. But like, okay, so we're gonna go back to the assembly line and take away the robots who build cars now because humans. That's also the same thing.
Yeah, I'm saying, except for it's different because it's us.
Oh, because if we live
in
this,
industry.
I know.
Yeah,
buddy, we're headed towards universal basic income, anyways. Like that's just
great.
Hopefully now,
there's no studies about work and its import to people's mental health.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that one out. But hopefully, we're finally
life expectancy. But no, it's fine.
Hopefully, we're in the one industry that is like people will be the most offended if AI comes for our jobs. Fingers crossed.
No, I think it's actually the opposite.
Oh, they want AI to take over they want AI opinions?
Isn't that so much of sports fans now is they want to have the charts?
God.
Like I see charts get more retweets than takes.
No, you don't. You see Stephen A. Smith get $20 million a year.
Yeah. And
how many charts does he use?
None, but trust me. Hey, the chart guys and girls are there.
Where's the chart guy who's like, it's like Stephen A. Smith, the non-chart guy, and then the chart guy who's right there.
That's
not
one guy.
happening.
And it zags. It goes back and forth. Anyways, back to the Blue Jays.
Yeah, Ross Atkins.
Yeah.
No, I'm not on guard for this Ross Atkins thing or think it's a big deal. I think it's necessary.
They haven't fired him yet.
Because I think, one, that's a very difficult thing to do in the middle of the stream, and two, you might do it if you didn't trust him to make in the middle of a season, like a month away from the trade deadline, and two, like if you were going to make the franchise-altering moves that I think probably should be made but won't be made, then you'd do it. Then you'd give that guy enough time to like get his bearings and make that move. But I think it's going to be business as usual here. Like I truly do. And the idea that Ross Atkins is fired no matter what, I don't think that's 100% true because I don't think Mark Shapiro is going to be fired. I really don't.
No, Mark Shapiro, I don't think it's going anywhere. And it's weird because I'm of two minds with it, right? I'm going, well, why would he be fired? He's gotten this ownership to open up purse strings in a completely novel way, right? They've never been this open to spending this much money.
That's not a positive if your ownership. It's like, you coerced me into doing that, and what's happened?
No, but it is because they've they have unlocked that this product is super popular and has major national potential.
Yeah, I think that was established like in the last year of Alex Anthopoulos.
And I think the thing that they've established now, too, with the renovations is that people really like going to the ballpark in the city. That if you can put together a halfway decent product, you will get people to go and drink the $20 beers. I love it. Who doesn't like a day in the sun? It's in terms of activities with your friends and even with your family, what's easier than just being like, hey, let's go to the ballpark and go watch the Blue Jays. And now you go to the Rogers Center and sit in the seats. They're nice. I swear to God, I know this sounds so stupid, but I genuinely love the cup holders. I do. As a fan of the team who goes to a lot of games. Don't you agree, though, that when you go there, the experience is way better? Just being able to walk.
There's you sound like a moron if you have any other take other than it's so much better.
When you take, and I did it again, where I just had my friend in town. We went to a Blue Jays game on Wednesday.
You're right. Operating an Airbnb, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I'm hosting way too often, and he overstayed his welcome. Say that to you. You're classic. You're classic. Like, do you mind if I stay one more night? It's like, yeah, man, we're adults now, and I got to work tomorrow, so. I do mind, but whatever. I'll push you up anyway.
You went with him to the ballpark.
I took him to the ball game, and it's fun. Like the game sucked because the Jays are trash, and it was part of the Red Sox sweep, right? Yeah. Guess what? We went for a walk around the concourse. We took in a bunch of things. We visited another friend that was there. It's like, I got to show him a million things at the ballpark. It was fun. He enjoyed it. He went, wow, this was a really great time, even though the product was bad. So I am of the mind that Shapiro has done a good job with part of it, but I also look at it and go, wait, didn't you stand up at the podium and say that last year was the biggest slog of a baseball season ever and you couldn't quite explain it? And then you decided that you were going to keep the guy that is responsible for a lot of the moves, who fans cannot stand, who out of all the general managers we've ever had in the city, I would say that John Ferguson Jr.
Yeah, I did this the other day. Rob Babcock and JFJ are like the
and Atkins.
The triad. He's part of the triad now.
You're part of it. Where it's just you're going to speak this guy's name in 5 years, and people are they're going to cringe. They're going to go, oh God, I can't believe it. This is why I don't understand the non-firing. This is the no excuse. There's no excuse for this. You get the cheapest pop ever. What could he be doing here that's so valuable to you? Being like a meat shield?
I don't know. It's insane. It's why I thought he would be fired last offseason. There were just so many opportunities.
So all the changes that you could have done last season, too, it's like, hey, man, we fired him, and hey, now it's a transition year, but don't worry, we got Ross gone. Is it because Shapiro doesn't want to lay the blame at the feet of his boy? He doesn't want the target pointed at everyone's already got the target pointed at you too, man. No one thinks that you're not a part of this.
Well, that would be interesting to hear him speak in the middle of the season, which would be nice to hear from. But no, here's the thing that I've come to as far as a conclusion is that, okay, Mark Shapiro says, or is thinking, I can fire Ross Atkins. That's fine. But nothing changes fundamentally, right? Because what we've been led to believe, and Ben Nicholson-Smith, a good reminder in talking to him today, that Mark Shapiro is not the president of business operations. He's the president, which includes baseball operations.
Ops,
that is just factually part of his purview.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's I can fire the guy and get the cheap pop, like you said, but so what? Nothing changes. That's for you.
The cheap pop, that matters.
That's for you. But he would say, I'm not. I'm in it to make you happy, but you're going to be happy because I'm making the best baseball team. And Ross Atkins, he must still believe that Ross Atkins at the helm of this thing, while he's just steps in it constantly, publicly, and is just such a target of fan ire. He just says that's an optics thing. I don't care about optics. I care about winning baseball games, and I'm still of the belief, process, man, and him being a part of this collective brain trust, we're going to get this done, and that he's not appealing to the thing that doesn't have tangible effects to him. This is not me. But that's the only conclusion I can come to is that's for you.
I got a different conclusion.
That's a fan thing for me to fire the guy that doesn't really do anything anyways.
Yeah.
Just because you don't like him. I'm not doing that just because you want me to.
I'll tell you this. Your scenario is a nightmare. Your scenario is a true blue bona fide nightmare. That Shapiro is looking at this and going, nope, the process is fine. And
well, but how can he not? Because he's part of the process.
No, but hold on. Hear me out. This is the part I like. I watch a little show called Succession.
Yeah, me too.
I'm all about the game of chess in the front offices where there's the big money and guys are trying to secure positions and legacies of their own. I would rather the reality be, as you spoke that out, they've already got a brain trust back there. They've already got, what's his name, James Click?
Yeah.
He's already basically the GM.
Yeah.
Ross sits in the corner like the Greg, and then they're like, hey, Greg, go out and eat it. He's Tom when they put him out in front of Congress.
Oh, yeah.
But they're like, you're going to be the guy. You're going to be the guy that takes the fall.
Yes.
He's Kendall, where it's just he's sad in the corner. They're like, no, he's the heir apparent. Okay. And then every time they're cutting away to him, he's just, play the soft piano
Kendall
music.
was the guy initially that was going to have to go to prison.
No, that's what I'm saying. And then he's just... And that's the thing is Ross maybe is coming out today and he's going to deliver that season 3 Kendall press conference. He's like,
he's going to flip it.
He's like, just so you know, all the baseball ideas were Shapiro's. Hey, just so everyone's aware, I wanted to trade Vladdy and Bo last offseason. Then he was the one that said, no, we're doubling down with IKF and Spencer Horowitz. This is what we're going to do. No, but realistically, I hope that they actually like keeping him as a meat shield because they're going, we're trying to get our affairs in order and we're trying to pivot. And the second we actually fire this guy, the second all of a sudden attention turns to James Click and to me and to everybody else that's involved in this operation. Right now, everyone keeps standing outside Ross Atkins' office with the pitchforks going, we want you gone, we want you gone, we want you gone. But we're making important decisions right now. We're maybe going to trade Vladdy. We're maybe going to trade Bo. My next question is about those guys, and I know we've kind of done this over and over again, but now I think that there is a new wrinkle to this story. You can sort of have him be the guy that trades Vladdy or Bo, and then in the offseason, he can go.
I don't know. That's a curious one, especially if those trades don't immediately look good. You're like, why? So you were going to fire this guy in the offseason anyways, like a scenario that we all envisioned, and you let him make the franchise-altering moves of trading the faces of your franchise?
Because I know, but to them, they go, there's a way that they could win it. Because they could say, if they do win the trade, they're like, we were running the ship the whole time and he's gone. Like, he was a puppet anyways. And then if they lose the trade, they're like, yeah, you know what? It was his season and he was our general manager and he's the one who traded Vladdy for a bag of peanuts. We couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe this is where he wanted to go with it. And then we said, enough is enough. You're out of here.
Now, ultimately, the buck is always going to stop, no matter who the general manager is, with Mark Shapiro.
Yeah, but look at Shanahan. He's got to be looking at that going, well, look at this guy. He's done nothing.
Yeah. But at least
Shanahan literally is he's got his GM speaking to the media going, we love Mitch. Like, Mitch is so great. The one weapon that Toronto has is the media, and they don't use it to apparently put any pressure on the guy.
Okay, so... Yeah, and Shanahan got to fire one GM. He can't the Lamorello thing was too complicated. We're not calling that a firing, right? Like, it was a succession plan.
No, that's kind of that's two. No, that counts.
Nah, it doesn't. It's not the same. You don't go. He didn't put himself on the clock as much as obviously the firing of Dubas and hiring Treliving does. And Shapiro hasn't gotten a chance to do that yet. Right? This is his first GM he's ever hired.
Oh, well, poor guy. Only he's like, hey.
Handpicked guy.
Yeah, 8 years. He's like, damn. Do I get 8 more with the new guy? Does he get 6? What's the new rule? What's the rules on GM2? You get 4?
Yeah. No, you don't get very many at all. Okay. Because especially if you keep Vlad and Bo, like the clock is ticking. Like you have to make the playoffs next year, unless you extend them. Which is, I still think, probably the best course of action. No,
so you're the Marner guys. You're the people that go, know.
Except there's no salary cap.
No. But might as well do the same thing. Oh boy.
No, it's a totally different scenarios because they're totally different sports, and there's more that you can do around them.
Yeah.
And at a baseline, like Vlad's going to be an above average player, and Bo, I think, is going to be an above average player. Maybe not as a shortstop for the rest of his career. But yeah, I do think it's an apples to oranges comparison.
Sure, yeah, fine. It's whatever.
But yeah, if you're not extending those guys, like, I don't know what the future is. That's the scariest part. It's not that this team paying its players like $225 million this year in an era in which 6 teams in each league make the playoffs, and like you have to be in and around
Literally
500 to be
everyone
in
makes
the
playoffs. Even
they're
now,
out. They're like mathematically eliminated. It's not even July yet.
Yeah.
They're not, but like
no, I think that they've got a 4-point-something% chance.
God, who? That sounds good. Like, can I take the option on the other side of that?
What's crazy
can I fade
is that it's so like the playoffs are such a joke now that I saw that 4% and I went, it's more than that.
Yeah.
They're so bad.
Yeah.
I watch them every night and I go, you're not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
And yet the format is such that I look at it and go, it's not 4%. It's higher.
So that's bad.
Yeah,
that's
it's
all
bad.
bad. You know what's worse is like, okay, only selling off the rental pieces. And you're like, well, we got to try and win again next year.
Yeah.
But like, you don't extend Bo and Vlad. And like, you're in a wild card spot-ish, sort of similar, but a little slightly better. And you make the playoffs as a wild card team again. And it's like 90 wins or something. And then and then it's like, not only are you like no good still and a million miles away from the Yankees and Orioles, but then you do have no Vlad and Bo for nothing.
So this is why I've long been of the position that I don't root for tanking in baseball. I just don't. Like, I don't see the point. Even though I'm watching Skeens out here just be incredible, and you go, oh, wait, where did this guy go in the draft? Was he in the 4th round? Was he their Davis Schneider? They're like, oh, no, we didn't get him at the back end of a draft. We got him at the top end of the draft. So part of me goes, all right, maybe I downplayed a little bit the value of getting up there and picking at the very, very top. I think part of it is that I'm jaded as someone who cared about the Mariners for a long time. Like, the Mariners had 1 million guys that were taken in the top 5. There was like a decade there, and it was a lot of like Dustin Ackleys.
Yeah, there's some Alex Rodriguez.
No, that was before. That was in the before 4 times. That's the 90s. I'm talking in the 2000s. At this point, I hate it because I love going to the ballpark and just still rooting for the team. There's something about being at the game and going like, I want them to win. But they're about to play the Yankees in the series, and for the first time that I can remember, honestly, I've never rooted for the team to lose. I'm kind of hoping that they get embarrassed by the Yankees and that it's a real showing of, hey, look at the gap here. It's impossible to ignore the gap here.
I think it's already happened, but yeah.
Okay, I hope so. It just, that's the thing. I don't want the Raptors' fake comeback. I don't want people to tell me like, oh, actually the Raptors, they're pretty good in the fourth
thing is,
quarters.
there's no number. There is none. Like, unless, boy, there's some secret stats that the Blue Jays have because they're the smartest person in the room all the time.
Yeah.
Like, they're so smart.
Yeah, they are.
Like, you may look at Justin Turner being 39 years old and having a bad second half of last year.
Better.
And, like, just the slightly above average season he had playing in one of the most hitter-friendly ballparks in all of baseball, and him being, like, a below-average offensive player and say, like, oh, yeah, maybe he's just cooked. But they're like, no. You may look at George Springer being, mid-30s and him having, like, barely a league-average offensive season and then a year later being abysmal and one of the worst hitters of all baseball.
Like, no, there's going to be positive regression on this old baseball player that had his best years hitting when he was cheating.
Yeah, you may think that, but you're wrong because of the secret stats.
Yeah.
Like, show me the secret stats about the Blue Jays in 2024 being, like, primed for some positive regression. There is not one. I can tell you that.
No, I get that, but you know how baseball is. A team can get hot. Like, a bad team can get hot. And
the Blue Jays have actually won games somehow.
Yeah, so that's it. It's just I do fear like they got Barrios on the mound tonight. Who's to say that he doesn't shut down the Yankees? You got the first game of a series. All of a sudden, it's just like, okay, wait, you're 1 win away from being like, hey, see, Vladdy's hot all of a sudden.
No.
Anyway, this is where I wanted to go with it today because, we've litigated whether it's time for the tear down or sell or blah, 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 all these things a billion different times. The thing that's changed, the wrinkle that I alluded to earlier, is that all of a sudden Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s name is being linked in priority lists with the Astros. Did you know who that guy was?
Nope, but he has 75,000 Twitter followers.
Sure, but so did the guy that tweeted the Marner thing, which is like, so I was glad.
No, he had less. He had less than 10,000, the Marner guy.
Oh, really? Okay. All I know about the Marner guy is that someone did a screenshot of all the lies.
It's horrible, yeah.
All he
and
does
that guy's
is tweet.
His publication was made up. That guy.
Yeah, okay.
The Marner guy? No, this guy has a slightly more bona fides. He was on ESPN radio yesterday.
Yeah.
So, like, he's at least somebody that's not me has vetted him.
Well, what else were they going to talk about on ESPN radio yesterday? They were like, hey, let's talk about the French guys at the top of the draft no one's ever seen.
No, and it was Houston ESPN radio, right?
So I got a lot of Reese Shea thoughts coming up next. Like,
but
literally the biggest name in the draft is a second-round pick.
I know. I listened to the segment, and, like, he was a known I think they called him an Astros Twitter person, right?
Sure. Okay, anyway, yeah, whatever. I believe him. I believe that the Astros would want Vladimir Guerrero Jr. when they have a hole at first base.
And so
that's not a leap. It's not the Astros would like a good player?
Yeah.
Like, no. Yeah, I believe him. I believe you.
Yeah.
But then the second part was that Vladdy, I think I actually have it.
Oh, yeah.
The Yankees thing.
Yeah, I was on this when it first came out.
So Vladdy, at one point in his career, said this: I like to play in New York. I like to kill the Yankees. He had basically done the Griffey, where he said, yeah, I'm never going to play for the Yankees.
And part of that was there was something that happened between Vlad Sr. and the Yankees.
Yes. He said it was a family thing, and he went. But then recently, he basically, like, where did this even come from?
So it was a Spanish news, Spanish-speaking
Virus
sports
Deportivo, which is a tough name. We don't Virus Deportivo. This doesn't sound right.
I don't think you want like that.
No, Virus Deportivo is like, do you want Virus Deportivo? It's like, no.
Yeah, the cable man comes to your house. He's like, for $5.99.
Yeah, Virus. You're like, no, pass on Virus. Anyway, he said that if he was going to be asked to go play for the Yankees, if he was traded there, he says, I go on the field to play. Sometimes one says things. It's not that I'm trying to take back what I said about the Yankees. This is baseball is a business, and I've sat down and talked with my dad and my family because it's a business decision. I've told them that I didn't want to talk about it anymore. So I don't know. It's weird because he says he's not trying to take back his comments.
Yeah, but he is. But you would say that because you are taking it back at the first part.
I was going to say, he's getting ready for the presidential debate. He's like, yeah, I got my politics trotting out here.
And maybe it's nothing. And he was asked a direct question, right? But like clearly that is correlated to what's happening around him.
And clearly he's talked. That's it. He's talked about it, and this is a possibility for him. And I don't think that it's crazy to think he and Juan Soto have had a chat, and Juan's like, it'd be cool. Come here.
Yep.
And we're the Yankees, and who's going to pay all of us? Maybe is like the Yankees, and maybe
shockingly have a need at a position that used to be like you could find the first baseman are falling out of trees.
Yeah. So the question I asked you yesterday over the phone, but told you to not answer because waiting today is: does it matter where you trade Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? Like, does it? Because let's be honest, like I know that you could say, well, the Yankees and Red Sox just made a trade, right, for Verdugo, and that was a guy that was involved. The main piece of the Mookie Betts trade ends up on the Yankees. That's not great optics. But this is the guy who was the chosen one. This is the guy that we've been invested in since he was a 16-year-old. This is someone where we had a second opening day when he was called up. This is frankly a prospect that we've never even. I would say Brett Lawrie was the second closest in terms of hype and intrigue.
Yeah, but nobody's in the ballpark.
That's
of
what
Vladimir
I'm saying.
Guerrero
But that's
Jr.
what I'm saying. Is like the closest you could
largely, he's still living off of that hype.
Yes, no question. This is a guy whose home run in the preseason we celebrated as though it was a playoff victory. Can you trade Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to just anybody, or do you have to be a little bit more cautious with this one and make sure that he is, if all things are even close, you take the better package from a team like Houston?
No, I don't care. You trade him to whoever offers you the best package. I mean, there's multiple different reasons. Okay, not the least of which is the Yankees have, and who knows, they have, according to MLB Pipeline, the much higher ranked farm system. They have a prize prospect in Jason Dominguez, the Martian, who's injured now.
Yeah, I don't know who he is.
You don't know who he is? He made his debut last year.
No idea.
With the Yankees, and he hit 4 home runs, and he's a switch hitter, and he's got an incredible nickname, and he plays center field. Anyways, he's the future of the Yankees. He had Tommy John surgery.
An incredible nickname. Well, then, let's get him.
Yeah, but he's also been amazing, like throughout the course of his minor league career, and then reached the major leagues and hit a bunch of home runs in limited sample, but whatever. Anyways, but their farm says the Astros, and these rankings aren't everything. But the Astros are one of the few teams who had a farm system that was ranked below the Blue Jays before the season. They didn't have a single top 100 prospect going into the season. Now they have one. He's ranked 70th. So that's part of it. The other part is like you play 13 times against teams within your division. It's not 19 times anymore. And factually, there's only one playoff spot up for grabs within your division. There's 3 outside of your division. You should just the way the Blue Jays are trending, be more concerned about keeping your head above water against the Royals and the Astros and the Twins than anybody within your division, especially not the Yankees or the Orioles, who are going to be the kings at the top of this division for the next half decade to a decade.
I actually really love that take. That, like, if you're looking at who you're truly competing against moving forward,
not the Yankees.
You almost say, "Go be the Yankee." Hey, we'll never be you.
Yeah,
just bend the knee.
Yeah,
bend the knee and
plus,
pledge fealty. Just be, hey, you get our thing.
Is there a part of me that also thinks like, yeah, you know how to pitch to that guy, big spot, Yankee Stadium, you just feed Vlad some fastballs.
Your argument makes sense.
The inside of the
Your
plate.
argument makes sense, and mine doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
You can't trade him to the Yankees. You can't have Vladdy in pinstripes. You can't have him with Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, and he's hitting in front of those guys. You just can't have it. Or in between those guys, whatever. I don't care. You can't have it. You can't have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. show up to the Rogers Center and have the Yankees browbeat you, and he's a part of it, and he's happy. He's dumping Gatorade on tall Aaron Judge. Maybe that's actually the way to get him to stop dumping Gatorade is he just can't reach. He's like, pours it on his shoes. He's like, ha! not the same effect. I really do. I'm really normally a believer of you can make trades with just about anybody. Mm-hmm. I don't care if the Leafs make trades, but this one actually does remind me of everyone was mad at Matt Sundin because he didn't waive his no move and they didn't get an asset for him, right? Mm-hmm. And he went to Vancouver the next year, halfway through a season. It really pissed Leaf fans off. It really, for a little while, I think, hurt Matt Sundin's legacy or felt like it was going to hurt it. Now I think most people have grown up and gone, if your take is to be mad at Matt Sundin, of all people, with the Leafs, like, you're kind of a bozo. Like, you kind of got your anger a little misdirected. What people don't remember is that the Habs were one of the teams that were like, we'll give you stuff. We'll take Matt Sundin. And how horrible that would have been had he had success there. And I'm not saying Vladdy's Matt's, right? Matt's had successes here, was here for a much longer time.
Win a playoff game.
Sure, but Vladdy does mean something to a lot of people here. You go to the ballpark, you see a lot of Vladdy jerseys. If you were going to extend one of these two guys, I think you still are extending Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Vladdy is the kind of guy where, despite all the disappointments the last couple of years, despite the fact that, he's just hits worm burner after worm burner after worm burner, every time he puts one in the air and it goes over the fence, I start to get, romantic about baseball again. And I go, wait, maybe this is the moment. Maybe this is when it's happening. He's been hot lately again. All of a sudden he's hitting for power again. And I'm going, this is the guy. You look at the numbers, right? I think he's basically the number one first baseman in the American League by most offensive metrics.
Yeah, it's an indictment of the American League first baseman.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But I see those things and I feel like a measure of pride. There is something about Vladdy where he's our guy. Mm-hmm. And so to see him go and play for the not end of his career Yankees, not like Ichiro with the Yankees where it did hurt me. Like I'll admit, I remember I went down to one of those games to see Ichiro at the end of his career and watching him in pinstripes. I was just like, I almost cried in my seat. Like
Vernon Wells?
No, this is much different. How dare you?
Lyle Overbay?
Seeing him in his prime play for the Yankees, I don't think I really wouldn't enjoy it. I'd rather take slightly less. Slightly, not worlds apart. I'm not talking like, the Yankees are going to fork over their entire farm and then you take some haircut on something else. I'm saying clearly these trades have to be somewhere in the ballpark. Look at what the Calgary Flames just did with Markstrom. You think any Flames fan is crying over going, well, what did the Leafs have? They went, no, look good. Yeah. Don't send Markstrom to the Leafs. I think that's part of sports, and I think that this moment right now, that would almost ruin if you're selling
Don't
hope.
compare Markstrom and the return that the Flames got for what the Blue Jays are hoping to get for Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
All I'm saying is that there is a human element to some of this, and if you're trying to sell hope to the Blue Jays fan base, I don't think that part of that sell can be, hey, we took your chosen one and we shipped him over to the Yankees, but don't worry, you're going to see the Martian in 2 years. Like, no thanks.
No, you're going to see him as
whatever.
This season.
Yeah, I mean, the Jays have every prospect. I'm like, who's down in Buffalo now? Because everybody's up here.
At the major league level. You're right. Yeah, actually, we saw some guy who's like clearly,
Burrow.
He's like, I never thought I'd make. It's basically like a step away from fantasy camp for that dude.
Yeah, it really was.
Let me reiterate.
They should have just done something like that. They should have done like, we're letting a fan be on the bench.
Sure, of course. Let me reiterate. I think the best course of action is to re-sign, if not both, one of those guys. And if I was
not both.
If I was choosing, I mean, if you're going to spend $200 million on payroll anyways, yeah, okay. So what's $30 million for
I'll tell you
Vlad
right
and
now,
Bo?
I think Bo looks like a guy who is like weeks away from saying, "Hey, trade. I want to trade."
In what position is he to do that? Playing the way he is.
I don't, all I'm saying is that
I don't think so.
He never looks happy.
Yeah, but that's his deal.
I might be projecting.
Yeah.
Probably.
Because you're like, what would I do? I wouldn't want to play on this team.
He looks miserable. Every time you see him, I go, God, this is a guy who every offseason.
That's the Bo aesthetic.
But every offseason they trot him out there and he goes, this is the year we need to win. I'm tired of this. And I'm
Justin
serious.
Turner is a serious guy.
And then even you still get guys like Spencer Horowitz getting picked off. And you're like, okay, yeah, not even the new AAA guys. And like, okay, it's just. Yeah.
Anyways, but back to my point. I think you
back
want.
to you.
Well.
Yeah, back to your point.
Opinion. I think the best course of action would be to extend Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
I think so too.
While he's a diminished version of what we thought we were getting, he's still, like you said, one of the best first basemen in the American League.
Well, I think even if you re-signed him in 2 years from now, if it really wasn't working, then you could still make that decision and he would have a bunch of term and he'd likely be still a very attractive candidate to another organization.
Sure, at that point he'd be in the Marner situation, 10-5. He'd have full control over his destination. But anyways, that's beside the point. I think that would be the best course of action. But if you are trading him, who cares, man? I don't care. There's no rivalry between the Blue Jays and Yankees right now.
Teams would be like, does he have a good nickname though? Is he,
I mentioned that last about Jason Dominguez. Do some, bring up his baseball reference page.
How did you feel about Swaggy P when you had Nick Young? Was you were like, oh man, but his nickname is so sweet. Anyway.
I don't care. Unless you're getting Jackson Holiday, which I'd be fine with too. Like, send him to the Orioles. Would you be okay if Jackson Holiday headlined a trade package?
Different. Yeah, Orioles are different. I don't care about the Orioles.
It's just because of the uniform and because of the history of success.
I think that there's always been a sentiment amongst, I would say this is not
the evil empire.
No, but not even just that. I think that a lot of organizations, because guess what the Yankees have always done is poach top tier talent. I think most teams, not just the Blue Jays, not just because they're in the division,
of course,
they feel like they're just a farm system for the Yankees.
Of course.
They go, well, cool, we developed this guy and then he hit free agency and then he goes and he's on the Yankees.
Right out of the gates. Like, who didn't think when Bryce Harper was coming up with the Nationals that eventually he would find his way to the Yankees or Troy Tulowitzki would be a Yankee one day.
And so anytime a guy ends up on the Yankees, especially, you feel even more defeated as a baseball fan going, what is even the point of this? Like, guys go to that, and I know they haven't won.
No, they haven't won.
Who cares? It's about...
They didn't even make the playoffs last year.
It doesn't matter. It's about the fact that they are always willing to outbid everybody. That is the thing about them. That's what's kind of cool about the Mets situation right now with Cohen is that all of a sudden you've got another bully on the block, an NL team that's going, no, we'll spend more money, even though... God, where was your money when George Springer was available? Because that would have been great. Steve Cohen.
6 years? Too many? Come on.
Yeah, you got all cold feet. I saw you're the second or third richest owner in sports. You couldn't give George Springer a 6 year? Come on, buddy. Yeah. You can have him now for much less. Your dream. He's right there. You could really stick it to the Blue Jays. There is something additive about that to me and to being a sports fan. And I just think you're in such a low spot. To lose Vladdy, you're right. I still am a re-sign Vladdy guy. I just am. You have to recalibrate your expectation of him. I'm not a re-sign Bo guy. I am if you got a Godfather deal from somebody, a trade either of them, dude. Like, I would be down with trading both and going scorched earth, and that's fine to me. Again, I still think people are going to go to the ballpark. I really do. I think it's a thing to do in the city, and it's now been established. It's synonymous with summers here. Patios and Blue Jays games, they're one and the same. Like... But the Yankees are where I would draw the line. I would say find anything but the Yankees.
Nah, not me.
Fake bid the Yankees, get the other organization to bid up.
I don't care. I don't care about the Yankees.
I can't see him in pinstripes.
I mean,
can't see him go back on his word.
It's not my number one choice, but like the amount that it would impact my decision is far less than 1%.
No, it's a good argument. I bet you it's 50-50 down the middle. Anyway,
I don't. I think more people are in your camp than mine.
I bet you no.
I can tell you factually because the people in my Twitter sphere know who Jason Dominguez is, and I tweeted out a Twitter poll.
They do? They know? They're aware? You sure? Now do a poll. Do you know who Jason Dominguez is?
I would find it surprising that you voted on this poll if you didn't know who he was. I said, could you accept a trade of
people,
Vlad Jr.?
People never vote uninformed. That's not a thing that happens.
Could you accept a trade?
Everybody who votes is like, I know exactly who and what I'm voting for.
I just assumed you programmed this entire first half hour of this program off my tweet. But anyways.
No, it was my idea. Talk to you about yesterday.
Could you accept the trade of Vlad Jr. to the Yankees if Jason Dominguez was part of the return?
Yeah.
The choices were yes, give me the Martian, no Vlad in the Bronx.
Yeah.
No Vlad in the Bronx, 64.5% now.
Well, yeah, no, the Twitter poll that people really take their time with Twitter polls. They really think it through. They're like, no, I think now that we've laid out the cases, your case is better.
Thank you.
But mine is right. Anyways, let's take a break.